any of this. And here you are 5 years down the line, Fergus is a major player. But that, I think the arrogance of the Celtic board came through there. You know, when he said, forget me, he's not a player, you know, he's just an eccentric old man, we've ignored him.
Multi-millions notwithstanding, Fergus McCann fails to cut a fine figure for the fans. His offer for the club went in just after Celtic lost 1-0 to rival Rangers. Superb timing, but he didn't know the game was on.
He comes here, and it's the day after a major semi-final between the Old Firm, and doesn't realise it's taking place. You know, things like that's not good. That upsets everybody on his side. It upsets the fans.
The board, though unwilling, can no longer ignore Fergus McCann, but will neither deal with him nor tell him why. They decline to be interviewed by Focal Point on the present crisis.
What we have to find out, and we've not been able to find out so far, what are the stumbling blocks? We've removed everything that we've seen, and we don't see any more. Where are they? What are they?
Writ large in the mind of the Celtic board is the fact that the McCann rescue package comes with former Celtic director Brian Dempsey built in. Dempsey was mysteriously bundled off the board 3 years ago. The fellow director Michael Kelly was ecstatic.
There's too much bad blood coursing between Michael Kelly and Brian Dempsey. And I don't know if they can work together. Michael Kelly's already said he couldn't work with them. Too many bad things have happened between them. Too many words have been said. Now, the sad thing about this, of course, is that while they play these politics and there's all this dialogue behind the scenes, and the club slides further down, and it's as though some people, there are not enough people on both sides too concerned about the supporters and all of this.
The ebullient Mr. Dempsey was ousted from Celtic Park when the board there went sour on a proposal to move to Rob Royston. They had learned that Dempsey had bought himself a company, Nardlaw Limited, had bought for it land at Rob Royston adjacent to the proposed Celtic site, and all while still a director of Celtic.
At that time, Nardlaw, you're now talking all about the same time, about August or September of about 1990, and the land started to be, Nardlaw acquired the land, and we then, I as Strathfield, acquired the shares in Nardlaw and in Bernlaw, which would then go into Celtic Football Club.
But in nowhere in company documents does it say that Celtic Football Club or any part of it is the beneficial owner of Nardlaw.
It may not be in company documents. I'll tell you something else that's not in company documents if you want to know. At a meeting in September, I told them at a board meeting that I would take the land, that we would give them the stadium site for nothing, and we'd split the profits if they were even scared to put any money in at any time into a completely no-lose situation. These things are never shown in the minutes because detailed minutes were not kept of meetings. And it is totally spurious at this stage, 3 years down the road, to say Brian Dempsey was in Rob Royston purely to make money. Totally spurious. And I challenge you to ask Mr. McGinn, Mr. Farrell, or even Kevin Kelly in these matters, because they knew exactly what was happening. And anything other than that is not true.
The first obligation is imposed by a specific statutory provision. And Mr. Dempsey, to comply with that, should have declared his interest in Nardlaw and in the arrangement at the first board meeting at which the matter was discussed. That's a board meeting at Celtic.
Now, I've already asked you twice, and I think we got diverted onto other subjects, but I really would like to take an answer from you on this. Again, did you voluntarily declare to the board of Celtic?
I don't remember the exact details. I remember this, only this, that when that was put to me, I took legal counsel's opinion afterwards if I had conducted myself wrongly, and legal counsel advised me I hadn't.
What do you say to your accusers today?
Well, it was then, and it is now just total lies. And I wish somebody would come public and say very publicly that I was in here lining my pockets, trying to buy up land at the expense of Celtic, and rest assured, I will deal with it fully. And in dealing with it, I will cite the chairman, the vice chairman, the legal director, and other directors to say at any time where I had not conducted myself properly.
Given the embarrassment to Fergus McCann of Brian Dempsey's poor standing with the Parkhead board, why does the would-be Celtic boss have him on his team? A high-profile player for the McCann cause, but a major stumbling block with the Celtic board.
Fergus and Brian almost got together before in the past. But Fergus's ways were not Brian's ways, and Brian's ways were not Fergus's ways. but they each had something the other desired. Brian has the credibility. He's well liked by the fans. They still see him as the White Knight, although he hasn't done anything yet. Fergus has the money and wasn't particularly liked by the fans. They're wary of Fergus. It's Fergus's attitude. It's his Canadian, North American business attitude, if you like. It doesn't come across well. It doesn't sit easily here. And Fergus, having the money, realised, I think, that he needed the credibility. Brian, having the credibility, needed the money. So, if you like, it was a marriage of convenience. Now they have the money and they have the credibility. Brian suddenly is wealthy, although it's not his, and Fergus has this instant credibility.
Crunch time for Fergus McCann is just 2 weeks away, when the extraordinary shareholders will settle the club's future. McCann's chances of winning the day are apparently out the park. Celtic's rules lay down that of the club's 20,000 shares, 2/3, that's just over 13,000, must be voted for any change. And that's the rub for the rebels, because 5 of Celtic's 7 directors have formed a pact, always to vote as one. They hold 6,329 of the club shares and enjoy the proxy votes of hundreds more. On that basis alone, McCann's bid fails. Nor can individual pact members split from it. Trust among pact members is such that they have entered a legally binding contract through a company, Celtic Nominees Limited, which bars individual freedom of action. For the rebels, an apparently impregnable front.
The people who have drawn up this pact have to live with it, and it has a lot of repercussions which are negative as far as they're concerned. There's no question in my mind it's unethical. It's certainly an immoral thing to do. Directors have to be free to vote their votes and make decisions on the basis of what is best for the club.
The director's vision of what is best for the club is a new, no-cost super stadium away from the old ground to be built at Cambuslang. Celtic FC, the catalyst, with profits galore in the future. Round the stadium, claimed the scheme, will rise and hill, cinemas, bowling alleys, restaurants, and all things to all men leisure complex, with Celtic at the very heart of Cambuslang Xanadu, and all at no cost to the club.
When I approached them about the need for a realistic commercial understanding, I found them very receptive. They couldn't have dominance and control. You know, if they couldn't put up the money, then obviously we had to negotiate an agreement that would make sense to them and to ourselves. And from that basis, I found them very receptive. They listened. They probably didn't understand initially, and I think as we spent more and more time discussing the ramifications of it all, we thrashed out, I think, a very, very effective agreement. What they need from me is to just get the thing to happen. So yes, we keep them informed to a degree, but not blow by blow, because it's really alien to them. I think they'll probably be more confused than they would than I would be helpful in terms of telling them everything that we're doing, because that's really our responsibility.
Patrick Nally has set up a company to handle his various stadia interests. He calls it aptly Stradivarius. But he is not, he makes clear, in cash terms, an investor in the Celtic scheme.
I'm investing all my time, and I'm investing all my expense and cost, yes, because Stradivarius has got 2 very lean years before we have any facilities and start making a return. So yes, my investment is pretty substantial, but the guarantee is being written by others.
Now, have you been able to find those people prepared to write that guarantee? Did you find them here in Scotland, in Glasgow, in Britain, or abroad?
No, I found them abroad. It's done through conventional banking people that have obviously fairly large groups of people that have funds, and those funds can be used to act as security. So it's a sort of funding package with an international bank, which is the way that you would normally approach these things.
And where did you find your benefactors, so to speak?
By just going around, presenting the idea, and talking to some of the people that have done it for me before.
And where are they? Are they Swiss? Are they French?
Well, Swiss is in terms of where they're